Hi there, I am Sarah Colas. Welcome to the Dressing Up podcast, where we talk about all things bridal, dresses, and general dressing up topics. I love to encourage women to dress up while expressing their personal style with confidence on how to do so. Visit sarahcolas.com to book a bridal alterations fitting or even inquire about designing the custom couture bridal gown of your dreams. I'm so excited to talk to you about this next topic. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Dressing Up podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with us. From the White Dress in Brighton, Michigan, we have Kristy. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Kristy.
Oh, thank you so much for coming.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Me too.
Awesome. It has always been Kristy's dream to open a bridal shop and work in the bridal industry. And in 2011, Kristy took the leap and opened her own boutique, the White Dress. Can you tell us a little bit about why you wanted to open the shop and kind of what led you here today?
Yeah, this is a long story.
Okay.
So
I'd love to hear it.
Just bracing.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a background in accounting and finance and tax. That's what I went to school for.
Wow. Totally different, but I'm sure that's
Totally
very
different.
helpful.
Yes, exactly. And I always knew that I would do something one day with that and possibly open up my own business. Although, to be honest, this wasn't what I thought I'd be doing, which is very ironic considering I love weddings. I love love, and I love wedding dresses. So it's funny that that existed in my life, completely separate from the thought of opening up a business one day. Yeah. But I think it was my dad who kind of initially vocalized, I think you should open up a bridal store. I think you'd be good at it. You have a passion.
Your dad.
I know, right? Well, my dad owns a company, and I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. So I feel like I had that modeled to me throughout my life. And of course, the famous line is, I told him he was crazy and I would never do that.
Never. No, we never want to do what our fathers tell us to do.
Right. So funny. And literally it's so crazy because obviously this is where we are today. Yeah. So that thought kind of sat with me for a long time. And every time I had a stressful day at work or just worked too long or I was that was always what came to my mind. It's I could be doing this, but surrounded by pretty dresses. That would be way more fun than doing taxes. Nothing wrong with taxes. We need these people in our lives, right? Yeah. So anyway, there was an actual event at my company, and I worked for a consumer products brand, and they were spinning off a business and merging and doing all this stuff. And I was that was the whole I knew what that meant in the tax world, and I was in the tax department at that point in time. And I was I don't think I can see myself being my bosses. I can't see myself being what they're doing right now. Yeah. So that was the whole moment of starting to maybe make this side thought something that could be a reality. So a lot of planning, business plan, researching. I never worked in bridal before I opened up the store, which might be relatively common. I don't know, but I just didn't want to be for lack of a better word, tainted by an experience. Yeah. You want to start completely fresh. Exactly. So yeah, it took about a year from that thought, to actually let's see if this is possible, to opening this store. And eventually it changed from here are all these ideas and thoughts and research to okay, we're moving back to Michigan. We're buying a building. We're renovating. We're doing all the things.
A huge amount of back work before you start making any money. Yes. Kind of scary.
Yes. Yeah. I know. My dad, of course, being very supportive of everything, was you're not quitting your job until the very last minute. You need to make money. And I'm fine. It'd just be more fun to just quit right now.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
Oh, yeah.
I followed his advice.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Source of wisdom there.
Well, thank you to Kristy's dad.
I know.
I love it.
Great. Yeah. We would not be here without that thought vocalized, truly.
So what was it like in the first days, weeks, and months of opening the shop? Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, it was both fun and scary because obviously that was the day of now we have to actually start having customers and seeing if my whole idea and concept was going to be working.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, when I started, it was me and my mom.
Oh,
So she actually had quit her job and came to work here with me, and really more as a supportive role. I would say she is very different in personality than me. So she's not super outgoing. She's more like behind the scenes, like calm, but she was there like every day. And then on the weekends, I had my sister-in-law, who was a recent graduate from college. And this was back in 2011. So the economy was terrible and she couldn't find a job. So luckily she came and helped me. And then my mother-in-law would come too, because they live in Ypsilanti. So they would come up on Saturdays being a busy day and kind of just help the chaos.
It's a whole family event.
It's a family event.
I love
it probably was about like 9 months after I opened that I hired my first official employee to help like run the front desk. And then it's grown a lot since then. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it was me doing everything, which I'm super thankful for, because I needed to experience to be able to help
learn it and
teach people eventually to do it.
Figure out your way.
Yeah. So it was a lot of work, a lot of after hours work, all of the back end admin.
You leave the 9 to 5 to work 24/7.
Yeah,
I know what that's like.
All that other stuff has to get done at some point, and it's usually after close.
Yeah.
So
when you opened the shop, were you the only bridal shop in downtown Brighton?
Yes.
So I feel like you picked just the right location, because there was no bridal shop here. So
yes.
Perfect.
Oh, yes, for sure. And I kind of skipped over that, but I did a lot of research on where to open up the bridal store. I'm not from Brighton. I'm from Michigan. I grew up in the Lansing area. And then my husband's family is more like from the Ypsilanti area. So we looked at kind of in the Grand Rapids zone and Metro Detroit. And those were like the two main areas I was thinking about. I grew up in Lansing, but then they moved to Fenton. So like we would meet in Brighton for like dinners with like the parents were getting to know each other when we were dating and stuff. I've always loved downtown Brighton. And I loved how like thriving it was, and a lot of like independent business owners. Like there's not a lot of like chainy type things down here. Yeah. And I just loved the community. And I was in Chicago, so I love the idea of like having like a downtown feel. Obviously, this is not Chicago. That's different.
A little different, but small taste.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. And then this building, the owners of the previous building decided to retire. And so it didn't even really like go on the market, but my dad was like on the hunt, because at the time I was still in Illinois.
It's like, we're going to make this happen.
And he saw this. He was like, oh, I think we found your location. Oh my And it looks very different than it does now, but he had the vision, and then it was, perfect. So,
wow. Yeah. I love that. You mentioned about being part of like the downtown Brighton community. I was seeing on your Instagram, it was so fun especially when the roads were getting redone, and you had girls get dressed up in wedding dresses and go around downtown and just kind of visit each of the businesses down here. And that was so cute. What gave you that idea?
Well, I cannot take credit for it. Some of my social media girls came up with that idea.
So fun.
So the girl who has very long hair in the videos, she runs my TikTok account, and she is a marketing genius, Rhiannon. And she's the one that came up with the idea of like, hey, if we can do it in a wedding dress, like you guys can too, essentially. So that was kind of the thought. And I kind of vetted it to the different businesses, and everyone was super on board with it. So yeah, it was super fun. And honestly, there were some places that we visited that I hadn't even been in before, because like just our hours are the same, so it's hard to make it to them. Yes. So it was great to make those connections. And honestly, that whole downtown period of construction was stressful, I think, for all the business owners down here, but the amount of collaboration and relationships that were made in that time frame were just like priceless. And
that's so good.
I think it made us stronger and closer together.
Yeah, that's so great. I love your sense of community with the way you do business.
Thank you.
Okay, so shopping at the white dress. So let's talk about the white dress. What is the bridal shopping experience like? What can brides expect?
Okay, so this one, I feel like I could also get very long-winded with. So
let's do it.
Here we go.
I'm here.
I think one thing that we have become to be known for over the years is an amazing experience, which I know a lot of bridal stores will say that. Like, and I think we all have our own unique experiences to who we are. Yes. But feedback that we get all the time is just how welcoming we are, how warm we are, and how genuine we are. And I think that is partially because that's very important to me. I really want to have that quality in people that I hire, and that they have that quality for being able to create that experience for brides. So that's one thing. And I think part of that is because we don't do commission here. So I always say we're a non-pushy sales store. So there are not things that we have to say to a bride. Like I want my stylist to feel very on their own and independent and like being able to read the situation and the bride and understand them. So they don't feel like they have to say something to like make the sale.
They can be very authentic and kind of like create this little friendship with the brides and get to know them. And I love that without the pressure.
Yes, absolutely. So that's like hugely, hugely important to me that people feel that way when they come in. But I will say we do a lot of things prior to the bride even getting to us, which I'm also very proud of. Our website is very robust. We have, I'd say 99% of the dresses on our website, like from the store on the website. So you can shop on our wedding dress gallery. You can filter all the things. You can create a wish list, which many of our brides do prior to the event coming in.
Then can you guys see? Oh my God, that's so good.
That wish list. Wow. So yeah, it's very helpful. I mean, obviously we have wish lists that have like 10 dresses and we have some that have 50.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, you cannot try on 50 dresses. It's not possible in the amount of time, but you can come back.
You won't want to either. You'll get exhausted.
Yeah. It's tiring. It's tiring.
Yeah.
And then we have a very extensive like pre-appointment form that we fill out. And so all of our stylists are taking all this information in, and we generally do have a conversation with the bride, text or on the phone prior to coming in, just to give us all the information. Like, what are your goals for shopping? Like, what are you looking for? Tell us about your wedding dress shopping experience so far. So when they come in, we know so much about who they are, what they're looking for. And honestly, sometimes we even have the dresses from their wish list pulled into the room already because we know that they like them.
Yes.
So
let's start with these.
Yes. And then of course, from there, things can take any sort of turn depending on what they like and don't like in real life. But I do think that extensive like pre-work goes a long way to,
set the appointment up right.
Yeah, exactly. We want to set it up for success. Yeah. For them, for us. But honestly, success for us isn't always like selling a dress. It's helping a bride like figure out what she's liking.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we do have brides that need to sleep on it, and that's okay. It's okay to sleep.
You want to make the right decision.
100%.
No matter what that takes.
Yes. We do not want you to call us in a week and be like, I don't like my dress anymore. That is not a good feeling for anyone. You don't want to have the dress regret.
Yes.
For sure.
Oh, completely. Out of curiosity, how many brides actually choose a dress off the wish list they created?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have like an official stat, but like from a gut feel, I would say maybe like 25%.
Okay.
Like it happens, but I do think a couple things. One, I mean, this as well as I do, like you may be drawn to images that aren't actually what you want in real life, right? So that's one thing, but also like images can be deceiving too. I mean, we have multiple images of each dress on the website, but like you may not identify something as a trumpet and then say you also don't want trumpets, but then you put trumpets on your wish list and you're like, well, maybe that's not what you're looking for, but let's talk about this and we'll see how you feel about it type thing. So, I mean, I think it happens more now than it ever has before, where people come in for a dress and try on maybe just that one dress and end up buying that dress.
Really?
It's wild. Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's social media that you see so many and then you kind of already have an idea of what you want.
That's my personal take on it over the years, for sure. I think this generation of brides is exposed to so much more than, I was a bride a long time ago, but like technology was around back then, but not in the way that it is now. So it's a completely different world.
Well, when you opened in 2011, that would have been like the Facebook era.
Yeah. And Instagram didn't exist. Pinterest didn't exist.
Oh my goodness.
I literally had a Microsoft Word document of images that I found online with the website underneath it so I could click. So I made my own Pinterest.
You started Pinterest.
I wish I could say that. I would be a much richer lady if I started Pinterest. Yeah. Like I created my own like mood board before I feel like that was a possibility. Yeah. So
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. But I mean, things have changed so much. I feel like every 5 years, like in the past decade, like every 5 years and coming up, like everything just changes so quickly in bridal. It's amazing.
Yes.
The trends come and go, the way brides plan their weddings comes and goes, and the way they dress shop I mean, it's wild. You got to keep up with it.
It is. It does
Yeah.
feel like things are moving quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be our 13th anniversary in December, and I can 100% say that where we started and how brides, and of course, like our business has grown, but like things are 100% different from our brides that came in 2011 to brides that come in today. Like it's a different world. It's a different world. It's fun. I mean, I love that aspect of it. I love the dynamic aspect of it, and that things are changing, and that it's exciting and new and fun. And I love that our designers also support us in these things as well, because they're at like the pulse of all the technology, and it's fun. I love all that behind the scenes.
If I had to say something about how the bridal industry has changed since 2011, I would say everything is much more intense now. You have a lot more vendors. Everything's just bigger and better. Like, what do you think about that? Just in terms of weddings themselves or the brides themselves?
Yeah.
What has changed?
I think that being a bride today is really hard because, one, your life is on social media, on your phones, on videos, with, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, so many things, that the second that you start engaging in content that's bridal, or you would maybe change your status to engage, like you are a target. You are a target for all the ads. And because all the algorithms want you to stay on, they're going to feed you the stuff that you like. So I think it's hard, not only because you're exposed to so much, so there's just decision fatigue. I think that you can have a lot of like maybe FOMO in the decision world. So like you make a decision and then you're like the next day on social media and you're like, oh, but that's a better idea. I should do that. Like you can't make decisions. You can't
escape from new ideas after you make a decision.
And I think that's so hard. Also, I think because of the targeting, and like, let's say you're pulling all sorts of boho images, and I like this dress, and I like these wildflowers, and like they're going to feed you more of that. So I also think you're also exposed to less because you're only seeing your narrow search. So when you come to a bridal store, you're like, wait a minute, what are these like clean gowns with pearls? I didn't ever see those online. Well, because you were probably targeted in a way, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's hard because you can come to a store with like this idea about what you like. And again, what hasn't changed is that idea may not be what you actually like. And that's true from the beginning of time, right?
Yes.
And then but it's harder because you just never knew it existed. So I do think it's really important for brides to research. I mean, obviously I'm speaking more from like the wedding dress perspective, but I'm sure it's very relevant. But like, if you don't, I guess, expose yourself to all the things, like you may have more dress regret in the end because you didn't know that something existed, and you have this thought in the back of my mind, well, what about that dress that I never tried? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of moving pieces, and I think it is really hard to be a bride today.
Yes, the pressure is real. It's a lot.
It's a lot. I can't imagine like literally saying yes to the dress and the next day being on social media and seeing another dress that you love, and you're like, well, I guess that's over. Maybe. Oh no, did I make the wrong decision? And then the thoughts continue flooding.
I think as you're saying, dress regret is a real thing. It happens way more often than you think. And I think that there are a lot of people that feel dress regret, but don't actually have dress regret or don't actually act upon it. So what I would say to those people, to just kind of calm your nerves and not get you all worked up, just really think back to that moment you said yes to the dress, and just really think about how you were feeling in that moment. But however, at the end of the day, if you're really having strong feelings, you need to act on that quick. But if you're not sure and you think back to that moment that you said yes to the dress, if you're still feeling good about that, then you're good.
100%. I agree with that. You can't look at a picture of you in a dress because it's not how it looks, it's how you feel.
Yes.
Which, like,
so true.
We oftentimes, if brides are starting to question or get worried, we're like, please tell us, number one, we need to know to be able to help you in ways that we can, but always come back to the dress, even if it's the sample of the one in store, like go back and revisit it, and try it, and like remember why you said yes. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps people.
I know. I think there's also like a memory aspect to it too, because you tried it on 6 months ago and you go so long without trying on. And I often get people in the alterations that put the dress back on. They're like, oh, I forgot what it looked like.
Yes.
Like, you picked it out.
Yes.
You don't remember?
100%. Yeah.
It's really cute.
Yeah.
They fall in love with it all over again.
Good.
So that's fun. So, Kristy, we are on the Dressing Up podcast after all. So I do have to ask you a question I ask all my guests, which is, what is your favorite item in your closet right now?
Oh my gosh, this question. Oh, I would have to say, I don't know if it's fair, but like it's a dress that I love that I haven't worn a lot lately because I feel like it doesn't fit as well anymore after children.
It's all good.
But it is a pink dress, very similar to the shade of my jacket and the pink of my store. And it's isn't the Raleigh dress. It's kind of fitted and it has tiered ruffles, but it's short. So I can't usually wear it because I'm so tall without tights. So it's a wintertime dress for me.
Oh, okay.
But I love that dress. It reminds me a little bit of like some things I wore when I was little. Child of the 80s and 90s here. So those tiered skirts, which are coming back in prom, which I love.
Oh, it's so fun. I know, I've seen that too. I love it.
Me too.
So what do you love about wearing that dress? Like, how does it make you feel?
It's just so fun and frilly and cute. I'm such a girly girl.
Yes, so me too.
Pink and flowers and bows and ruffles and all the things. So, and of course, I love like this bright, bold pink, and I love like hot pinks and stuff. Oh, pink of all, but like that bold color. I just think is so
this your favorite color?
It's my favorite color.
The white dress pink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
I love it too.
How would you describe your personal style?
Well, so I have always enjoyed fashion and style in general.
Okay.
But I'm definitely a slow mover when it comes to adopting it in my own life because I feel like I have to figure out how to make it my own.
Yes.
Like I don't like to do something just because it's a trend. I have to feel like it has to be me. So a lot of times I am slower moving to the trend, but then like once I see it enough, I think my brain's like, okay, it's time. I know how to do this. I can do this in my way. So, but again, like anything super girly is usually what I'm found in. And now that I'm a mom, mom style's real and being comfortable, but I do try to make it cute, but it's definitely more casual than I think I've ever been in my life.
Oh, really? Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, so fun. I love that. It sounds like you are prioritizing style over fashion, which is great. What advice would you give to newly engaged brides who are either about to start their dress search or have been looking for a while and have had no luck?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do think this is something that personally, I think my answers changed over the years too.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing, which is still the same, keep an open mind, but we kind of touched on it a second ago, but like, I think it's really important for brides to do their research. You do want to keep an open mind, but you also don't want to go to like 5 stores and not find what you're looking for, especially again with back to like being targeted at things and like only being, I guess, seeing what you're seeing on social media from an organic way. Like you may not know what is out there. So I think it's important to do some research and figure out what are some general styles that I'm liking. I also think that if there is a style or designer or some dress that you, like the image maybe keeps coming up or things that are similar to like the same style, I think it's really important that you try to seek that out because not every store has every dress. And I mean, to be fair, I guess Pinterest throws out a lot of images that are maybe not super attainable for most people. Maybe a $20,000 custom dress is not in most people's budget. That's okay. You can find a dress that's amazing without that. But if you're a type of person that you can't get that out of your head before you say yes, like I think you owe it to yourself to try to find it or something like it. And I think that research also carries over to the bridal shops like that you want to visit because one, you want to like make sure that they have stuff that you're liking. But I think you start that way by looking at reviews, asking family and friends, maybe in a handful of stores that you're like, okay, these are for sure what I want to go. Like these are places I want to go. Now let me figure out what these stores have from a designer perspective, the styles, make sure they have what I'm looking for. So that way you can be the most efficient and effective and productive in your search. Because I mean, we've kind of alluded to it. Like it sounds fun to try on a ton of dresses, but it's really hard and confusing. And it can be so hard to make a decision. Yeah. So I think it's important to keep an open mind, but also do your research. So it's kind of like the opposites, but I think both are really important.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Do your research and then come into the shop with an open mind.
Yes.
That's what we want.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's great. That is true though, too. I think you and I know like all the bridal styles that are in and out, the trends, the this, the that, but I personally don't think that bridal fashion and everyday fashion always aligns. I think that bridal is its own thing. So I think that there's a lot of styles out there that people have no idea exist. So I agree with you. Doing your research just so you know what some of the options are is great.
Yeah. Well, I had a question for you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, obviously you're one of our preferred seamstresses and we love sending brides to you and getting all the fun feedback from them. But I'd love to hear more about your journey and like how you started and all that. I don't even really know.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I'll give you my spiel. I always give my brides because I'm always pinning and they're always like, so how did you get into this? They're like, you're so much younger than, and I'm like, thank you. Let's hope it stays that way
forever.
Yeah. But yeah, I started sewing very, very young. So I always say I could operate a sewing machine before I could even write my own name. I was very young, started with the doll clothes, of course. And I knew immediately that I like sewing clothes specifically. I got into all these other different kinds of crafts too, like knitting and crochet and origami. I was like a crazy origami kid, which is so weird, but I think it helped my brain develop a lot in a 3D perspective. But anyway, I always loved sewing the most. And truly, like, I swear in kindergarten, like I had these visions of me working with fun, beautiful dresses someday. And I never thought I could be as good enough to be able to work on wedding dresses. So for me to work on wedding dresses from a sewing perspective is just like a total dream come true. I absolutely love what I do. But I got into bridal specifically because I worked at David's Bridal during my summers of college in alterations.
Okay.
So I really got a really good taste. And David's Bridal, it's like you're moving quick. You're like lots and lots and lots of brides. So I got such good experience. And I was very fortunate that the team I was working with at the time was just so talented. So I learned a lot and then kind of took it on my own. Actually, I started my business in 2012 and I kind of always had it as a side business, but I actually worked in the auto industry for 6.5 years as well as an engineer.
Interesting.
I know.
Parallels.
Yes. Yes. I know what that's like, the whole corporate world, you know, when you live in the Detroit area, you end up somehow, some way making your way in automotive. So I did that for 6.5 years. I really enjoyed it, but obviously it was not my passion. And I learned a lot from that job that I do transfer into what I do now. Like, for example, I was a pattern maker in the auto industry. And especially at my first job, we were required to have accuracy with our patterns within 0.5 millimeter.
Whoa.
So if it was off more than that, like it would be a conversation. So it really made me very, very meticulous with my sewing back at home. So I feel like it really helped me, and it helped me, you know, more 3D thinking and the pattern making and everything. So I was doing patterns for car seats. So anyway, I left that job in February 2022 to truly take my business full time. I was kind of juggling both there at the end, and it was like I wasn't sleeping. It was like getting to be a lot. So I was able to leave, and I have been enjoying it so greatly ever since.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. My mom and grandmother also, and I did learn to sew when I was little too. And I have such respect for it. I mean, I don't sew as much now. I wish I could. The time devotion to it. I'm sure you feel that too.
Oh yeah.
The fact that you're not doing probably as much for you as maybe you would hope and dream. But the first time I ever made like a dress for myself, I was probably in my 20s, and I was like, this is so hard. There's so much that goes into making a garment that I just don't think people realize.
No.
If you don't make it ever or get exposed to it, you just you're like, oh, it's like $20 on Amazon. Like, sadly,
I can't compete with China, unfortunately. It's a tough one.
I mean, truly, you can.
No,
but no, I just think that's so amazing to know the ins and outs of that. And then, I mean, of course, bridal gowns being a completely different ballgame than just like a regular dress, right? So that's
I'm glad you have that background experience of kind of knowing how a dress gets put together. That's awesome, and probably has helped you so greatly.
Yes, we used to do alterations here for years, basically until COVID. So I learned so much from my seamstresses back then, and like what could be done.
Oh my gosh,
what they could customize and if a bodice didn't quite fit, where they could take it in. And each, of course, seamstress, I think, did it a little bit differently to achieve the same goal. Yeah. But I feel like I learned so much from them, and the bustles and how to hem things. And I mean, there are times when I'm in the back, like fixing a button, which I know is not that glamorous or hard to do. But like, I mean, I know how to do it, and I have fixed really good for our brides. A button loop that got the elastic just came unstitched, and like it's something that I am able to do.
Yes, it doesn't become a whole big thing. Let's just fix it. Yes, like, that's very good.
So anyway, but like I love hearing that story too. That's so cool. Yeah, love it.
It's so great. We are both living out our dreams.
I know. I don't think that I realized that you also worked in corporate.
I know.
That's so interesting.
I felt like, I always say, I felt like Hannah Montana. Like I had the best of both worlds. Like I was one person over here and I was a totally different person.
Yeah.
Like I was working with older men at the other one and then young women at this one. And it was just a really funny total, as you know, like a totally different world.
It is a different world. Yeah. I feel like I've learned so much about myself too, having opened up a business. And in corporate America, a lot of times, you're in a cubicle, you may have some team things, but it's very individual.
Yes.
And I don't think I realized how much I really love the people connection until I started like really working one-on-one with brides. And like every time that, obviously I have a lot of stuff I do like on the computer on the back of my desk, but like every time I like go and make that connection with the bride, I'm like, I just feel so much better about like life and like the positivity. Like I just love that connection.
Working with brides is so fun.
It is fun.
It's like the happiest time of their life, and like being a part of that experience. I like just like witnessing part of their dress experience. I feel so honored to even be in the room. It's like I get to be here for you, and we just met, and this is so fun.
Yes.
I shed tears all the time.
I'm
like
sure.
I just met you. This is amazing.
Yes.
And it's so sweet to see people so happy.
Yeah. It's great to be part of like that awesome time in life and the memories that they're making on like such a beautiful marriage,
Yeah.
So
yeah. I always think it's funny how I think a lot of these brides might remember us for like a very long time. Like I hear moms talking about, oh, when I picked out my dress, the lady was saying this and that and this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, you remember her?
Yes.
And they're like, the alterations person said this or that. I'm like, that was like 30 years ago. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
That is so cool. I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
But that's so special to be part of it. So I'm very grateful that I do this every day now instead of taxes.
Yes.
Which I have to be fair, I still do taxes. My own.
Just your own. That's a very good part. Oh, you know what I want to ask you about is prom. Tell us a little bit about prom.
Prom, my love.
There's not many bridal shops that offer prom dresses. I want to hear about this.
Yes. Okay. So I think the backstory is when I started my business plan, prom was always a part of it. Like I always had prom in the back of my mind. But when it came to like the reality of opening up, I was like, you know what? I think I need to focus on bridal. Like this is enough. Maybe just do bridal and really learn it and get good at it. But every time prom season came around and we are downtown Brighton, so all the prom pictures get taken across the street at the Mill Pond. So the high schoolers come down.
Yes.
So we see these dresses and I'm like, oh, they're so pretty. And I love them. And of course, seeing the trends change over the years. And I love a fancy dress.
Yes.
I love wedding dresses, but like prom dresses are so amazing too. And it's the first experience really getting super dressed up.
As like an adult feeling.
A lot of people in bridal will talk about their prom dress and like their time prom dress shopping. So it's just something that I've always had in the back of my mind. So last year, so it would have been 2023, I was kind of like, you know what? We're just going to do it. Like, I'm not going to keep hemming and hawing about when we do this and when is the right time to do it and all the things. So I kind of started in January with that thought and then proceeded to buy things for the store. And it was a very short season. So it was really just April and May. So very short prom season. We didn't have as many dresses, but we had just a lot of fun and we still had, and I think it was both fun, but humbling. Like it's a completely different world than bridal customer perspective. The dress quality is probably a little bit different too. And the dynamic with like mom and daughter is different if mom comes in at all, but a lot of times we did get moms and daughters. Budgets are different. Like there's so many different things. So it's like very interesting to learn about it all. I love that part of it. So, from then I was like, well, I know we're doing prom now because I love it so much. Good. So basically from that point forward, it was like, okay, we introduced homecoming as well, a much smaller set of dresses for homecoming. And then obviously amping up the inventory for prom. So prom here is basically entirely walk-in. It's not necessarily appointment based, although you can make an appointment if you want to, but most people just walk in.
Okay.
So we have walk-in hours every day that we're open, and it does vary every day. But again, we try to be as open and accommodating as possible.
Okay.
Everything is off the rack, so no ordering, and it means we have one-of-a-kind dresses, so you're not going to match anybody. Price points, we do have some as low as $100, but truly, like glitz and glammy dresses, and ruffly tiered dresses do tend to be more. The highest I think is like 700 over there, but primarily there I'd say 250 to 400 is like the bulk of the dresses.
Okay, great.
And we do obviously recommend shopping early because the biggest selection is going to be at the beginning of the season, and as they get weeded through and purchase, like the inventory is going to go down. But yeah, I would say most people do come in with a general idea of what they're looking for. You do have to kind of shop in your size zone because again, that's what alterations are possible. But it's just great when it just fits right from the get-go.
It is. It's awesome.
Like, you do as much, especially in prom. Their budget for alterations is maybe not as great. So we try to guide them a little bit to the size, but a lot of people don't know their size these days. So it is a little bit of a trial and error of like, okay, I thought I was 6, but maybe I'm an 8, maybe I'm a 4. Maybe it depends on the dress and the designer. All of this is true. So it's a lot of fun, and we love prom.
Did I hear you right that every dress is one of a kind over there? So you don't have 2 the same at all? Oh my goodness.
Yes. Okay. To be fair, there are a few that are duplicate, and I on purpose bought 2, but I will not sell it to the same high school. But it is a rare situation. Like, they're dresses that are very special and unique or super high demand. But what you see on the floor is all individual. Nothing is duplicate. Yes.
Wow.
We keep the ones that are duplicate in the back, and then we'll only pull it out if needed.
Okay.
If someone's looking for that, and we know it's not going to be a duplicate situation.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Are you starting to get prom girls in right now? Oh yeah. Like now's the time.
Yeah. Well, right now a lot of them are on spring break, so maybe not this week.
Not this week. Next week, last week. Yeah.
But I would say March really picked up the traffic, and here we are at the end of March. So I think April and May are going to be kind of crazy because if I think a lot of people are focused on spring break, and then after spring break they're like, ooh, I need a dress. Yeah. But we do have many people that have already purchased dresses and wanted to get it done before spring break.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Shop early.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Kristy, for joining us today and sharing insights into the white dress. I encourage listeners to follow Kristy on social media and check out the white dress in Brighton. Kristy, can you share with us the spelling of your website and social media accounts?
Yes. Okay. So the website is The White Dress, but with hyphens. So the-white-dress.com. But on Instagram and TikTok, we're The White Dress MI, so Michigan. And on Facebook, I think we are too. But we're primarily on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook.
Fabulous.
We do have Pinterest. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. Fabulous. Well, this was seriously such a fun conversation.
Thank you. I had a great time too.
I think so highly of the white dress and you, and I am just so honored to be working with your bride. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. We couldn't do it without you. You're the final finishing touches there.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode has allowed you to approach the world with greater confidence in your own personal style. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out through email or the inquiry form on the website. I hope you are all ready to go and get dressed up. I look forward to sharing more dressing up tips with you in future episodes. Thanks so much.